What do you do when your wife says her ex deserves Christmas, and you're left feeling like a guest in your own home? January 6th, 3 p.m. Lauren turns the key and steps inside, only to be hit by air so cold it bites. The house is dead quiet. No TV, no footsteps, no sign of the man who's supposed to be here. Then she sees it. A plain white envelope on the kitchen table, her name written neatly across the front. Her fingers tremble as she tears it open. First line, I accepted the position in Australia. If you've ever been taken for granted, comment enough and hit subscribe, because what she finds next will flip everything upside down. I didn't spell it out in the letter, but the truth was simple. She told me Mark deserved Christmas with them. That one word, deserved, sat in my chest like a nail, because if he deserved it, then what was I? The guy who paid the mortgage, the guy who showed up, the guy who kept the lights on, an ATM, a placeholder, a warm body you don't bother thanking. I can picture Lauren standing there in that frozen house calling my name like volume could fix what she broke. Ronan? Nothing. Just her own voice bouncing off empty walls. Then Hannah, still half in vacation mode, whining about the cold while dragging her suitcase across the floor. Wheels clacking, zipper rattling, that careless sound of someone who thinks home is guaranteed. Lauren reads the first line again, and again. Her eyes go wet, but it's not just sadness. It's the shock of realizing the man she took for granted was the one holding everything together. Her hands move on autopilot. Phone up. My number. Call. A flat recording answers. Disconnected. Like a door slammed from the other side. She tries again, faster this time. Same voice. Same dead end. Then a text. Where are you? The message hangs for a second and fails to send. No little delivered. Just nothing. That's when panic stops being an idea and becomes a physical thing. She walks, too quick, into our bedroom and yanks the closet open. Half the hangers are gone. The space looks wrong, like a missing tooth you can't stop touching. She checks the bathroom next, pulling open drawers like she's searching for air. My toothbrush. My razor. My cologne. Gone. Clean. Final. Behind her, Hannah appears in the doorway, smaller than she wants to look, eyes wide now. Mom, what's going on? Lauren opens her mouth, but there's no clean lie that fits, because the sound she can't stop hearing isn't the voicemail. It's the meaning. I didn't just leave. I cut the cord. That's what Lauren walked into on January 6th. But the moment that actually ended our marriage didn't happen in an empty house. It happened weeks earlier, at a Tuesday dinner table, like it was just another item on the calendar. Second week of December. I'd just gotten home from work, tie loosened, brain still stuck on a deadline. I was halfway through explaining a project that had my boss breathing down my neck when Lauren cut right through me, clean, casual, like she was interrupting a weather report. Hannah and I are spending Christmas and New Year with Mark. I stopped mid-sentence. The fork in my hand felt heavier than it should have. I set it down slowly, the metal clicking against the plate. Lauren kept eating, scrolling her phone between bites, like she'd just told me we were out of milk. No warning, no discussion, just a decision delivered over dinner. And in that tiny pause, with the kitchen light buzzing overhead, I felt the balance of the whole house tilt, quietly, permanently, away from me. I stared at her for a second longer than normal, waiting for the punchline that never came. The whole break? I asked. Christmas? New Year? All of it? With your ex? Lauren didn't even flinch. Mark's not just my ex, she said, like I was slow. He's her father, her authentic dad. That word, authentic, hit like a backhand. I swallowed it and tried to stay steady. I've helped raise Hannah for 6 years, I said. I've been here, every day. Lauren let out this short laugh, sharp and small. Helped? She said. Please, you're the stand-in. There are insults that make you angry, and then there are insults that make you cold. The room didn't change, but something in me did, like a switch flipped and the heat shut off. I didn't yell, I didn't slam the table, I just looked at her and realized, all at once, I wasn't losing a family. I was being released from a role I never truly owned. Lauren leaned back like the conversation was already settled. Mark's taking Hannah skiing, she said. Aspen. His parents rented this cabin. Big family thing. A proper Christmas. Proper. Like the ones we'd had didn't count. I kept my voice even. So what am I supposed to do for 2.5 weeks? She shrugged without looking up from her phone. Whatever. Watch the bowl games. You'll probably like the quiet, honestly. That's the part men remember, not the trip. The way you're dismissed like you're not even part of the problem, just something that can be stored on a shelf. Then Hannah walked in, backpack on one shoulder, earbuds in, already halfway gone. 14. Tall enough now to make you forget she used to climb into your lap during thunderstorms. She didn't say hi, didn't even look at me, just glanced at her mom and said, "Mom, you told him yet?" Lauren nodded, like they were discussing a ride to practice. And I sat there, realizing I'd become background noise in my own house. Hannah finally angled her face my way, just enough to make it obvious she was doing me a favor. "Dad got us passes for Aspen," she said, like she was reading off a highlight reel. "His family rented this sick cabin." Lauren watched me over the rim of her glass, waiting. She'd braced for the fight she could later tell her friends about. The big scene where I overreacted, where she gets to be the calm, reasonable one. Hannah kept going. "It's going to be awesome having a proper Christmas for once." For once. 6 years of Christmas mornings, me building bites in the garage, wrapping presents after midnight, paying for the whole thing, apparently didn't qualify. That sentence should have lit me up. It should have made me slam my hand on the table, demand respect, demand a place. Instead, I heard myself say, soft and flat, "Sounds nice." Hannah blinked, surprised I didn't bite. Lauren's eyes narrowed, and when she waited for the storm, I gave her one word. "Okay." Not because I didn't care, because in that moment, I realized caring wasn't the currency in that house. Control was. Lauren didn't like my calm. You could see it in the way her jaw tightened, like my okay stole something from her. "Normal people react," she said. "You're just sitting there." Then she threw the label on it, like that made it my flaw instead of her choice. "You're too passive. You accept everything without fighting." I looked at her, steady. "You want me to fight? For what?" My voice didn't rise, but it landed heavy. "You just told me I'm a stand-in. Hannah said it too. So what exactly am I supposed to be fighting for here?" For a second, Lauren froze. Not angry. Caught. Like she'd expected me to beg for a role she'd already handed to someone else. Her mouth opened, then closed. "That's not what I meant," she whispered. But it was. And we both knew it. I stood up, walked past the kitchen without another word, and went straight to the garage. The door shut behind me with a clean, final sound. I climbed into my truck and just sat there, hands on the steering wheel, engine off. No music, no phone calls, just the quiet pressure in my chest building into something clear. 20 minutes went by like that, long enough for the anger to burn down into a decision. Then I opened my email. 6 months earlier, a Sydney recruiter had reached out with a relocation offer. Solid pay bump, real position, real respect. I'd turned it down 3 times, because I told myself I was doing the right thing, because I'd been showing up for Hannah, because I thought being steady would eventually be enough. In the glow of my phone screen, I scrolled through the thread and saw every polite follow-up I ignored. "We'd love you on the team. Let us know if you reconsider." I didn't feel dramatic. I felt done. I hit reply, typed 2 words, "I accept." My thumb hovered for half a second, then pressed send. Message received, action taken. When I walked back inside, the house looked the same, but it didn't feel like mine anymore. Lauren was stretched out on the sofa, thumb scrolling Instagram like nothing happened. The screen lit her face that soft blue, vacation reels, ski videos, maybe Mark's messages mixed in. She didn't look up. "Going to bed," I said. "Fine," she murmured, still scrolling. Upstairs, I opened my laptop and stopped thinking in feelings. Feelings had gotten me 6 years of showing up and getting called a stand-in. So I made a list. Plain, ugly, necessary. Passport, birth certificate, bank accounts, direct deposit, credit cards, utilities, mortgage auto pay, Passwords, P.O. box, lawyer, timeline, not revenge, not drama, just reality. Each bullet point felt colder than the last, like I was draining the warmth out of the room one item at a time. And the thought came, sharp and simple, the show will run without me. If they could plan Christmas without me, I could plan a life without them. Wednesday morning I woke up before my alarm, like my body already knew it was time to move. Lauren was still asleep. I slipped out quietly, drove through the dark Dallas streets and got to my desk early. Coffee untouched, hands steady. I pulled up that Sydney email thread again and called the number in the signature. It rang once, twice, then a warm voice answered with an Australian accent that made the whole thing feel unreal. "This is fantastic news," she said. "We were hoping you'd come around. When can you start?" "As soon as you can make it happen," I told her. "I need it expedited." There was a pause, papers shuffling, keyboard clicks. "You've got a passport?" "Current." "Good. Visa for your skill set is straightforward. We can fast track." Then, almost casually, "Will your family be coming later?" I stared at my monitor for a beat, then said the truth out loud for the first time. "Just me." "All right," she said. "We'll book your flight, December 22nd. 9 days. A clean countdown. Once the date was locked in, December 22nd, I stopped thinking in maybe and started thinking in done. I opened a new bank account on my lunch break and changed my direct deposit before anyone could notice. Not because I wanted to punish anyone, because I'd learned the hard way. If you don't protect yourself, nobody else will. After work, I rerouted my mail to a P.O. box across town. I backed up every file that mattered, tax docs, contracts, IDs, then changed the passwords that had my name on them. Email, banking, utilities, anything that could be used to reach into my life without asking. That night I called my friend Alex, the one guy I trust to keep his mouth shut. "I need divorce papers drafted," I said. "No story, no speech, just facts." By Sunday, 2 suitcases were packed and hidden in the trunk under a moving blanket. When I closed the car door, it sounded ordinary, but in my head it sounded like a latch clicking into place. Lauren was in the kitchen the next evening, stirring a pot and humming like we were a normal family. That's what got me. Not anger, the comfort, like the ground under her feet couldn't possibly move. "Good day?" I asked. "Great," she said, bright. "Aspen's finalized. Mark's parents are so excited to see Hannah. It's going to be really special." She said it with that easy, practiced warmth, like she was doing something noble. Then she turned and studied me. "You've been weirdly calm." I shrugged, just accepting reality. Her shoulders loosened, relief flashing across her face. "Good," she said. "Honestly, I was ready for a whole argument. I'm glad you're being mature about it." Mature. That word always sounds like a compliment until you realize what it really means in some homes. Quiet, convenient, easy to use. I nodded like she'd said something kind, while inside I counted days and kept my face steady. Because she wasn't hearing calm. She was hearing permission. Dinner turned into a planning meeting I wasn't invited to, even though I was sitting right there. Lauren talked through ski gear like it was a mission, what Hannah needed, what Mark said the weather looked like, which flights had the best layover, which restaurants everyone wanted to hit in Aspen. Hannah barely touched her food, phone in hand the whole time. She smiled at the screen in a way she hadn't smiled at me in months. "Dad texted," she said to Lauren, not to me. "He wants to know if I need new boots or if last year's still good." Lauren laughed like it was sweet. "Tell him we'll figure it out when we get there. He loves shopping with you." I chewed and swallowed, nodding at the right moments, feeling like furniture, useful for setting things on, not worth looking at. The more they talked, the smaller I felt, until something in me went quiet and hard. When Lauren reached for her water, still smiling, I stood up without a word and walked into the garage. The garage smelled like old cardboard and motor oil, honest smells. I grabbed a box and started sorting without thinking too much. Important papers in one pile, old photos in another, tools I'd brought into this marriage the same way I'd brought myself, hoping I'd be counted. It hit me how little space I actually took up. 6 years of my life in that house, and I could pack my share into a few neat stacks like I'd never been there at all. That's a hard thing to admit as a man. You don't want to believe you're that replaceable. My phone buzzed. An email from Sydney. Welcome packet. Temporary housing photos. Office address. Start date. It was clean, professional, direct. No games. No stand-in. Just a place where my name meant something. I stared at the email longer than I meant to. Then another buzz. Instagram notifications from Lauren's posts. I didn't even open them. I turned them off. Because the only authentic thing I'd felt all week was a job offer from 9,000 miles away. Friday night, Lauren took Hannah shopping for the trip. 3 hours. The kind of casual errand that's supposed to feel normal. The second their car backed out of the driveway, the house went quiet in a way that felt honest. I moved fast, not frantic, just focused. I transferred what was mine into the new account, closed what needed closing, and pulled my name off anything I could. I canceled the card Lauren had as an authorized user, not to be cruel, because that card was a leash, and I was cutting it. I reset access on everything that mattered. Email recovery, banking logins, security questions. Every click felt like stepping farther away from the man who used to just handle things. Alex called back while I was filing a document. "You sure about this?" he asked. "Yeah," I said, and my voice didn't shake. Then I sat down at the kitchen table and wrote the letter. Short, clean, almost emotionless. No blame, no begging, just the truth in plain English. When I folded it, I knew it. There was no way back from paper. Lauren came home with shopping bags and that light holiday energy like the world was still on her side. Hannah disappeared upstairs, already texting Mark, already living in the trip. Lauren leaned against the counter and finally looked at me. Really looked, like she was checking something. "You'll be okay here by yourself?" she asked. It sounded like concern, but it landed like an afterthought. "I'll manage," I said. She nodded, satisfied. "It's just 2 weeks." 2.5, I corrected quietly. She waved it off. Right. You can always have Ryan come over. Watch football. Guy time." Then, like she remembered her role as household manager, she added, "Oh, and I'm going to leave you a list of things to take care of while we're gone. Trash day is Thursday. Don't forget." "Got it," I said. And I meant it. Just not the way she thought. Because while she pictured me holding down the fort until December 23rd, I was doing different math in my head. I leave on the 22nd, 1 day earlier, 1 step ahead. And she had no idea she was counting down to a goodbye she didn't get to control. December 23rd came bright and cold, the kind of morning that makes the driveway look cleaner than it is. I watched from the living room window as Lauren loaded the car, 3 suitcases for a 2.5-week trip. It wasn't luggage. It was a statement. Hannah bounced on her toes, phone in her hand the whole time, thumbs flying like she couldn't wait to get out of our zip code. I caught a glimpse of the screen, Mark's name popping up again and again. She smiled at it the way kids smile when they're sure they're headed somewhere better. Lauren came back inside for one last pass through the house, keys in hand. "Traffic's going to be awful," she said. "We'll text when we land." Then she hesitated, like she could sense something shifting, and leaned in to kiss my cheek. It was quick, automatic, a checkbox. "See you in January," she said. I nodded, watched her walk back out, and stood at that window until their car turned the corner and disappeared, like the end of a commercial where the happy family drives away, without you in the frame. I waited 10 minutes after they left. Not because I was scared, because I didn't want any last-minute forgot my charger moment turning my plan into a conversation. I listened for the garage door. Nothing. Just the hum of the fridge and the house settling. Then I moved. I took the envelope from my desk drawer, plain white, her name on the front, and placed it on the kitchen table right where she couldn't miss it, propped against the salt shaker like a quiet accusation, the kind that doesn't yell, doesn't beg, doesn't explain itself. Inside, I kept it clean. Australia. Leaving tomorrow. The house is yours. Lawyer will be in touch. Divorce papers. And the line that mattered most. This isn't anger, it's just done. No threats, no insults, just the truth, laid out like a final receipt. After that, I walked room to room one last time. Closed drawers, checked locks, looked at the empty spaces I'd already created. And for the first time in weeks, the silence didn't feel like punishment. It felt like peace. By the time I finished that last walkthrough, the house was already living without me. 2 suitcases waited by the front door like they'd been there forever. I left my key where she'd find it, right next to the letter. Simple, unavoidable. Sydney had originally booked me for the 22nd, but the visa paperwork and flight routing shifted it. December 26th. 3 quiet days in between. 3 days where nothing had to be said out loud. I'd already set the mortgage to clear through January. Not because I owed her anything, because I wasn't trying to be the villain in her story. I told myself I'd cancel the utility autopays after I landed, once there was no accidental charge, no tug back into the old routine. That evening my phone buzzed. Lauren. Landed Denver, so excited. Like the world hadn't cracked open. I stared at the message, felt that brief, sharp ache, then typed 2 words that fit the new shape of my life. Enjoy. Those next 3 days were the calm before the permanent kind of quiet. I didn't mope. I didn't spiral. I handled what men like me always handle, the details nobody thanks you for until they're gone. I changed every password that mattered. Banking, email, insurance portals, utility logins, anything tied to my name. I removed my half from the joint accounts where I could, clean, legal, documented. The ones I couldn't touch, I left alone. I wasn't trying to burn the place down, I was stepping out of it. I forwarded my mail officially, closed the cards she could use, locked down recovery questions. Every click was a small boundary made real. Then I drafted 1 careful email to my family. Career opportunity abroad, short notice. I'll explain later. No dirty laundry, no drama, just a controlled truth. Ryan called within minutes. Ronan, what's going on? I looked around the empty house and kept my voice steady. It's complicated, I said. I'm okay. And that's when I realized, even my brother could hear the crack in it. Christmas Eve didn't feel like a holiday. It felt like an after-hours office, quiet, stale, lights too bright for a room with no laughter in it. I ordered Chinese takeout because it was fast and it didn't ask questions. The bag steamed up my windshield when I drove back, like even the food was trying to pretend the house was warm. I ate straight from the containers at the kitchen counter. No plates, no music, just the clock ticking like it had somewhere to be. Every so often, my phone lit up with Lauren's Instagram stories. Hannah in ski goggles, Mark's family smiling by a lodge fireplace, captions like family memories. That's what got me. Not that they were happy, that they were broadcasting it, publicly, like the picture was complete without me. I scrolled once, saw frame after frame where I didn't exist, then set the phone face down. I turned off the kitchen light and sat in the dark, letting the quiet settle. Stand-in didn't make the card. Christmas night she finally called. Not a sweet check-in. Not a, how are you holding up? It was quick, rushed, like she was squeezing me in between dessert and a photo. Hey, Lauren said, breathy. Sorry we haven't called, it's been crazy. Hannah's having the best time. In the background I heard it. Laughter, clinking glasses, a TV playing something loud, and underneath it, Mark's voice, close enough to the phone to feel like he was in my living room. He said something I couldn't make out, and Lauren laughed, the same easy laugh she'd given him at dinner tables that used to belong to us. How was your Christmas? She asked, but she didn't wait for an answer. Quiet, I said. You should have gone to Ryan's, she replied, like I'd misplaced myself. Then, already moving away from the call, okay, we're heading to dinner. Talk soon. Click. No, I miss you. No, thank you. I stood there staring at the dark screen, looking around the house I'd carried for 6 years, and it hit me clean and cold. I wasn't loved. I was useful. December 26th came too early. Still dark outside, the kind of morning where the streetlights make everything look unreal. I loaded the suitcases into the car without turning on more lights than I needed. The house felt hollow, like it was already someone else's. Before I left, I walked back into the kitchen one last time. The key sat where it belonged, right beside the letter, exactly where Lauren's eyes would land first. No hiding, no games, just the clean truth, waiting. At the airport, I checked my bags and held the boarding pass in my hand like proof I wasn't imagining this. Sydney printed in bold. 15 hours of distance, a whole ocean between me and the life that kept shrinking me. My phone buzzed while I stood in line. Another story from Lauren, Hannah and Mark building a snowman. Caption, making family memories. I stared at it for a beat, then did the only honest thing left. I turned my phone off. Stand-in had left the building. Back to January 6th. Lauren still clutching the letter like it might change if she reads it hard enough. Her hands were shaking, but she kept trying to move like a person with control. Hannah complained from the living room, teeth chattering. "Mom, it's freezing. Can we turn the heater on?" Lauren didn't answer. She just started opening things. Closet doors, drawers, cabinets, like my name might be hiding behind the forks. She went straight to my home office and stopped. The desk was bare. The drawers that used to hold my files were empty. Even the little junk pile, old pens, spare chargers, gone. It wasn't a tantrum exit. It was organized. Quiet. Finished. She grabbed her phone and called my work number. Generic voicemail. Then she called the main line and forced her voice steady. "I'm trying to reach my husband." A pause. Keyboard clicks. "I show him as relocated," the receptionist said. "Relocated where?" "I can transfer you to HR." HR came on polite and careful. "I can confirm an international transfer, ma'am, but I can't share details." And just like that, every door she tried, home, phone, office, locked from the other side. Lauren's panic turned into a hunt. She called my brother Ryan first, like family could patch what she'd torn. It rang and rang, then went to voicemail. She didn't even leave a message, just hung up and tried the next number with shaking fingers. Chris, my buddy from work. He picked up on the third ring. "Hey, yeah," he said, cautious. "I heard Ronan took a job abroad." Lauren went still. You heard?" Her voice cracked. "You thought I knew?" On the other end, there was a pause you could feel. The kind of silence that isn't empty, it's loaded. Chris finally said, slow and honest, "Lauren, you're his wife." That was the moment the ground gave way. Because if Chris thought she knew, and HR knew, and apparently half the world knew, then the only person left out was the one who believed she still had control. She started pacing, faster and tighter, like she could walk her way out of humiliation. But you can't. Not when the truth is simple. Everyone assumed she mattered enough to be told. Her phone buzzed while she was still standing in the kitchen, staring at the letter like it might apologize. An email from a law office she didn't recognize. Subject line, "Petition for dissolution." She tapped it, hands trembling. PDF attached, official letterhead. And there it was, my signature already on the line, uncontested, clean, no fighting, no demands. The note from Alex was polite and surgical. "My client is waiving claims to all marital property and assets. He's requesting an expedited process." Lauren read that sentence twice, then a third time. "He's giving you everything, the house, the car, the stuff. Not as a gift, more like he was paying to walk away without being touched again." Upstairs, Hannah called out, confused. "Mom, half his stuff is gone." Lauren snapped the laptop shut like a caught secret. She swallowed hard and reached for the one lie that still fit in her mouth. "He had to leave for work," she said. But Hannah didn't look relieved. She looked scared, because even at 14 she could hear when a story doesn't match the room. 2 weeks later, the first real punch landed. Not in a conversation, not in a fight, but in a notification. Mortgage payment failed. Lauren stared at the screen like it was a typo. Insufficient funds. That account had always had money. It was the account she never worried about, because worrying had never been her job. She called the bank, voice tight, trying to sound in control. The rep didn't match her tone, just facts. "Your husband withdrew his portion and closed the linked accounts in late December." "But he can't," she said, like marriage was a lock on a wallet. "It's a joint account, ma'am. He's within his rights." Then the dominoes started falling fast. Utility auto pays bounced. Internet shut-off warnings. The car insurance payment failed. And the humiliation that hits hardest in public. Her card getting declined at the grocery checkout while people behind her shifted their weight and pretended not to listen. That's when she learned what I learned long ago. Bills don't care about intentions. They care about payments. And the man she called a stand-in had been the one keeping the whole place alive. When the bank wouldn't fix it, Lauren did what she'd always done when things got hard. She reached for Mark. She called him like it was an emergency, because for her, it was. "I need help," she said. "Financial help. Just temporary. Until I figure this out." On the other end, Mark didn't rush in. He didn't soften. He sighed like she'd asked him to move a couch. "What happened to your husband?" "He left. Australia. And the bills. Mark, I can't cover the mortgage." A pause. Then the line that told her everything she didn't want to know. "That's not my responsibility. I pay child support. That's what I'm obligated to do." Lauren's voice went thin. "So you're just going to let us lose the house?" "Sell it," he said, flat. "Get a better job. Rent. Whatever. But I'm not taking on your mortgage." And right there, the word authentic cracked in half. The authentic dad wanted the photos, the ski trip, the holiday cabin, not the load. In the hallway, Hannah stood still, listening. Quiet. Watching. Starting to connect dots she couldn't unsee. The money panic was loud, but what scared Lauren more was how quiet Hannah got. She stopped talking at dinner. Stopped leaving her room unless she had to. Her grades slid like something had come loose inside her and nobody knew how to tighten it again. Then the school counselor called. Not angry, not accusing, just that calm, professional tone that makes your stomach drop. "Hi, Ms. Hale. I wanted to check in. Hannah seems withdrawn lately. Is everything okay at home?" Lauren said yes too fast. Said they were adjusting. After she hung up, she stared at the wall like she was waiting for it to give her answers. That afternoon, she emailed Alex, asking, begging for me to talk. Just once, a conversation. A call to Hannah, something. The reply came back 3 days later, neat and cold. "My client has made his position clear. Please respect his decision. He's requesting a clean break." That's when Lauren finally understood. I wasn't punishing her with silence. I'd made silence a boundary, and the soft door she hoped to push open was locked from my side. When the lawyer said no, Lauren tried the one path she thought might still work. Hannah. She sat at the edge of Hannah's bed and said gently, "Write Ronan a letter. Just be honest. Tell him how you feel." Like words on paper could undo everything. Hannah hesitated, then wrote. The kind of letter a kid only writes when she's scared she pushed someone away for good. She apologized for being rude, said the house felt weird, said she missed the small stuff, rides, jokes, the way I'd always shown up even when she pretended not to care. Lauren mailed it to Alex's office with a note asking him to forward it. 2 weeks later, the envelope came back, not forwarded, returned. Inside was a short note, formal, polite, brutal. Continuing contact would only make the transition harder for everyone. Hannah saw it on the counter and didn't need the full explanation. She looked up at her mom, eyes steady, voice small but sharp. "He doesn't want us anymore, right?" And in that moment, Lauren realized the problem with clean breaks. The pieces still bleed. Lauren didn't cry at first. She got mad. The kind of anger that needs somewhere to land. So she grabbed the returned letter and threw it across the kitchen. Paper hit the wall, slid down like it was tired too. Then the anger burned out fast, because there was nothing left to yell at. No number to call, no door to pound on. She opened Instagram and searched my name. Gone. Not a new post. Not a trace. She tried again, thinking she misspelled it. Same result. Then she went to LinkedIn, like business would be more honest than feelings. My profile was there, updated like I'd never hesitated. Sydney, Australia, new title, new company. Her phone buzzed again. Not from me, from the mortgage company. Final notice, 7 days. The words sat on the screen like a countdown to humiliation. Lauren looked around the house I'd given her, and finally understood the joke. She had everything on paper and couldn't afford to keep any of it. 3 months into Sydney, I stopped reaching for my phone out of habit, like I was waiting for a life that no longer existed to text me back. My temporary place was on the 10th floor in North Sydney. Small, clean, quiet. If I stepped onto the balcony and looked left, I could catch a slice of the harbor. Not postcard perfect, just real. Enough. Work did what work does when it isn't poisoned by your personal life. It kept me moving. Meetings, deadlines, coffee runs. People were friendly without being nosy. Nobody asked why I'd taken an international transfer on short notice. They just said, "Welcome," and meant it. I met Oliver from accounting in the break room. Normal guy, dry jokes. He invited me to a weekend BBQ out near Manly, his wife, a couple neighbors, kids running around like they owned the world. I went, mostly to prove I could. Standing there with a paper plate and a cold drink, listening to strangers laugh like it was easy, it hit me, simple and steady. I'm not running. I'm living. It happened on an ordinary Tuesday right in the middle of lunch. My phone buzzed with an international number I didn't recognize. For a second I thought about letting it die in voicemail. Sydney had taught me a new kind of peace, one that didn't require reopening old wounds. I answered anyway. "Hello?" All I heard at first was breathing, fast, shaky, like someone had been running. Then her voice. "Ronan, it's me." Lauren. I felt my stomach tighten, not from love, but from memory. "How did you get this number?" "I called your office," she said. "I told them it was a family emergency. They patched me through." Family emergency. The words landed like manipulation dressed up as concern. I stood, walked to my office door, and shut it quietly. No audience, no noise, just the two of us and the truth. I didn't ask how she was. I didn't ask about Hannah. I didn't give her a soft entry point. I just said plain and steady, "What do you need?" And on the other end, she started to cry. "I can't do this," Lauren said, voice breaking. "I can't just sign away 6 years like it meant nothing." I leaned back in my chair and stared at the blank wall. "You already did," I said. "At the dinner table. You just didn't use paperwork." Silence. Then anger, quick and familiar. "You didn't leave. You abandoned us." That word, us, twisted something sharp in my chest. "Us?" I said. "Hannah has her authentic dad. You made sure I understood where I fit. So I stopped fitting." "She's struggling," Lauren rushed. "Her grades, she keeps asking about you." "Then talk to her father," I said, and my voice stayed low, controlled. "Not me," Lauren sobbed harder. "How can you be so cold?" I didn't raise my voice. I didn't insult her. I just held up a mirror. "Not one call on Christmas," I said. "Not one. You posted your happy family like I didn't exist. That wasn't a mistake, Lauren. That was the truth." And for the first time, she had nowhere to hide from it. Lauren's voice dropped like she'd finally run out of pride to hide behind. "Mark's useless with real stuff," she admitted. "He shows up for the fun parts, the trips, the photos, but when it's bills and stress and Hannah falling apart, he disappears." I didn't celebrate it. I just listened, because I already knew. I'd been the one carrying the load while she kept one foot pointed toward him. "Hannah's not okay," Lauren said fast. "She's slipping. She's angry. She keeps asking why you left. She needs you, Ronan. Please." My jaw tightened, but my voice stayed steady. "Then talk to her father. You wanted authentic. Go to him." She made this small, broken sound. "We're losing the house," she whispered, like the words might shame me into rescuing her. "I can't fix this alone." I looked out at the Sydney skyline and felt something hard settle into place. "Sell it," I said. "Rent it. Downsize. That's your choice now. I already gave you the house. I'm not giving you my life again." Lauren started sobbing like the floor had finally dropped out. "You're punishing Hannah for my mistake," she said. "How can you do that?" I didn't snap back. I didn't insult her. I just told the truth she'd been dodging since December. "I'm not punishing anyone," I said. "I'm removing myself from a place where I was never going to be enough, where I could do everything right and still be the stand-in." She went quiet for a beat, then asked the question that sounded like control trying one last time to survive. "When are you coming back?" "I'm not," I said. "What do you mean you're not?" The contract is 18 months minimum, I told her. After that, there's a permanent option. I'm taking it. Her voice rose, sharp with disbelief. You can't just stay in Australia forever. I didn't hesitate. Watch me. And in the silence that followed, I could feel her realizing something worse than the bills, worse than the house. She'd lost the ability to pull me back with tears. After I said, watch me, Lauren didn't argue right away. The crying softened into something smaller, like the fight finally left her. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, she asked, "Did you ever love me?" I stared out the window at the Sydney skyline, glass towers, bright water, people moving like their lives made sense. My throat tightened, and for a second I hated that question because it deserved an honest answer. Yeah, I said. I did. And that's what made it worse. That's why it took me 6 years to see you didn't love me back the way I needed, I continued. Not the way that counts, not the way that protects a man's dignity. She tried to speak, but I kept going, quiet, steady. I turned Sydney down 3 times. 3, because I thought holding this family together mattered, because I kept showing up. I paused. But I'm done being second fiddle in my own life. Lauren took a shaky breath like she was reaching for one last thread. Can I call you again in a few weeks? Maybe when things calm down? I didn't hesitate. No. What? She whispered, like she didn't recognize the sound of a boundary. This is the conversation, I said. After this, everything goes through the lawyers. She started crying again, faster now. Ronan, please. Listen, I cut in, still calm. Don't call my office again. Don't call my family. And don't use Hannah as a bridge. Don't send letters through her. Don't make her carry adult guilt. A long silence followed, thick with the reality she couldn't negotiate around. She tried one more time, smaller. So, that's it? I closed my eyes. That's it. I didn't slam the phone down. I didn't say anything cruel. I just ended the call and turned the phone off, because the cleanest break isn't loud. It's final. A month later, the signed documents hit my inbox like a quiet confirmation. No courtroom, no yelling, just a clean PDF and a timestamp that said the chapter was over. 2 weeks after that, it was final. I was down by the water near the harbor, a paper bag of fish and chips getting cold in my hand, when the last notification came through. Dissolution complete. I stared at it for a second, then locked my phone and let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding for 6 years. That's the part nobody tells you. Peace doesn't feel like fireworks. It feels like your shoulders finally dropping, like you can hear your own thoughts again, like you're not auditioning for a role that never becomes real. I chose peace. I chose dignity. No more stand-in, no more second fiddle, because a man can live with a lot, but not disrespect. If this story hit home, comment enough and subscribe. There's another story waiting for you right here.